Well, let's check out the lady side of this event. Holland came over
Yeah.
there, her first event over there at New Zealand, and she won pretty handily.
Oh, Smith. That's so touching when you make bad jokes. This is cool.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Welcome back to the Players Meeting, a Win Dummies production. I'm your host, Lucas Deal, and we're rocking episode number 45. Thanks so much for being here. In this episode, we're going to talk about more signings that happened this week. We'll take a look at the Throwdown Under event, the newest one in the series. We'll also look at the Hideaway Open and a few other tournaments that are upcoming. Plus, we're going to answer a lot of questions, or at least give our thoughts. Did Emporia State make the right move when they chose Innova as their sponsor? It can't be a coincidence, but something's going on with Ricky. We're going to talk more about that this week. Is he leaving? Did both the Pauls make the right decision in their newest investment? And finally, the All-Star Weekend is now changing. Good change or bad? Find out our thoughts on all of those topics here in this episode of the Players Meeting. If you have not already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Disc and Deals Coverage. Ring that bell for notifications so you never miss a single episode. We'd also love to hear your thoughts on there, so make sure you comment. But without further ado, let's bring in the real star of the show, the one-time world champ, Chris Smith, aka Smitty. Yo, Smitty, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just having a good Monday. Got out and played some disc golf. Met up with my guy Shaper to give him some discs to take to food drive. Just had a good day so far.
That's awesome. You getting to anything this weekend?
I think I'm going to go to Winfield and play their food drive.
Okay, awesome. That should be fun.
Weather permitting.
Yeah, I was going to say it could potentially get snowy here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it looks like there.
And it'll probably be a muddy, soupy mess there at Island Park, but you only get to play there one time a year, so it's kind of fun to go no matter what.
Yeah. I know this weekend you got down on a little bit of disc golf league. I saw you come out to flights on Saturday. You went ahead and took that down. And then in the morning, you also took down Millbrook League. You shot a pretty nasty 15 under.
Yeah, I smoked all 4 people that were there besides me.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that our league had as many as it did, considering there was a tournament going the whole day. But again, it was a flex event, so that kind of made things a little bit nicer for us.
Yeah, I think you have a pretty good following of people that like coming to the Flights League over all the rest of them.
Yeah, I think it was a good time for sure. All right, well, this week, Smitty, lots to talk about, so let's get into it. Let's start where we always start. What's popping? What's been happening around the world of disc golf? And this week, we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to actually start with some signings, because some of these are going to come into play when we talk about some of the tournaments. So first of all, Aiden Scott, who just won the event, the second event in New Zealand, looked fantastic. He now announced a sponsor in Infinite Discs. And Nathan Queen, who was with Innova, also is now with Infinite. What are your thoughts on these two?
I feel like those are pretty good fits for the both of them. It gives them the opportunity to continue throwing what they were throwing if they truly like it. I know Nathan was a big Wraith guy, so he can still throw the Wraith, or Infinite may have a version of the Wraith that I don't know about. I know they have a few of their own molds, but yeah, I don't know what these companies offer them. I wouldn't think it would be as much as a disc manufacturer could, but hey, if it works for them, it's fine with me.
If I were to be sponsored, this might be the way to go, because you're not really pigeonholed into any one disc. You can truly just throw whatever you want, but you're probably right on the back end. Unless you're like a Drew Gibson making pretty good money with Infinite, you're probably not making a ton of money the same way that some of the disc manufacturers do.
I think that's safe to say.
But yeah, congratulations to those two. Pretty awesome. And Prodigy making some more moves, Smitty. They have acquired now two pretty great players, young players, in Gavin Rathbun. This one was a shock to me. Really excited to see it. And then we also got Hebes, Jake Hebenheimer, also now with Prodigy.
I think these guys are both great fits for Prodigy. I think they probably got them at fairly cheap rate. Can't imagine either one of these guys would require a tremendous contract, but I think they're good fits for Prodigy. You're going to see Gavin on some lead cards for sure, and you never know what Jake might do. He may pop off a hot round and be on a lead card at any event. I mean, he can throw farther or as far as anybody out there.
Yeah, he absolutely bombs, and so does Gavin. And I love the Gavin Rathbun pickup. This is one I did not see coming, and honestly, I forgot all about Gavin, that he wasn't signed with anyone. I wonder if that's the, hey, we're getting a good one, if that's the one that Luke was talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think they're both great players, but I don't know if you can consider them a big. I mean, maybe Gavin, you can, but
Yeah, I'm still up in the air with, like, is this the name or not? And you had mentioned something in passing and through a text message that you're thinking maybe, and I like this. So, when it's crazy, I like to talk about it. But you said, what if Matty O, might be upset with Westside? We haven't heard much about that situation. Does he go to Prodigy? That would be a huge name, and that would be pretty cool too.
yeah, he's been there before as well, so he probably has, some of the old discs that are hard to come by that these guys love. But we heard some early rumblings about Matteo maybe not being happy. We haven't heard much lately, but also Matteo isn't going to get out there and put his business out for other people.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But if that comes to fruition, I can't take credit for that one. That one's on you. So I like the call for like a long shot. All right. Now a couple women who are staying home. Silva Saarinen, she signs a 4-year extension with MVP. And then Ella Hansen signs a 2-year extension with Discmania. We definitely wanted to mention these two ladies because these are definitely two of the top ladies in the field. Both these companies did a great job locking these women up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, these are the women that are the face of their brand, right? Is there a better woman on Discmania than Ella?
Well, not Cynthia Ricciardi.
No, and then I think that's the only one I can think of.
Yeah, me too.
MVP, they have Sarah Hokum,
mm-hmm.
who's on the backside of her career, and Silva, and I think it's a smart move locking her up.
If you like it, then you should have put a paycheck on it.
Guess so.
This was a little shocking to me, but this guy is loved by a lot of people, but maybe not as much as a player. He's definitely on the downslope of his career, but Zach Melton signs again for the 2025 season with Dynamic Discs.
Yeah,
Zach?
I've never hung out with him at all. No, I don't know anything about him, but I feel like he's probably like these other guys. He doesn't cost Dynamic Discs probably a lot of money. He does a good job of promoting their stuff, and like you said, people seem to like him. He seems to be a fun guy with a great attitude, and he probably realizes his worth as well.
I think that's important because I don't think a lot of people do, as we've mentioned on this pod several times.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Zach, on that. But let's get into some coverage. All right, so third stop, the Throwdown Under Tour. And this was, out of the three, probably my least favorite of the courses. It just seemed a little bit unrefined, if you will. I mean, it's in an orchard. I didn't love it as much as the others, but there was some dang good disc golf being played. Now, I am going to preface this all by saying, hey, we're recording this on Monday night. This comes out on Tuesday for you all to see. And I did not get a chance to catch the last round. I did watch the first two, and it was some really good disc golf. But man, I did see the final, and it came down to it. So Smitty's going to talk about that when we get there. But before we jump into the final round, Smitty, do you want to talk a little bit about these first two rounds with some of the people on the coverage?
Man, it's cool to see these guys getting a jump start on their season. There's so many of them are learning a new bag and playing quite well with it. We have Robert Burridge once again shredding. We got Luke, who's got the old bag of tricks and shredding. Ezra building confidence in his game. You could see his putter was awesome,
dude. The first two rounds at least, he's starting to get that thing dialed. No question about it.
Yeah, and then Big Jerm, it was great to see him come out with his first tournament out with. I guess he played last week. Second tournament out with his new bag and win the dang thing. So it was great.
Alert.
And I'm like you. This was my least favorite of the courses so far to watch. And I think the weather had a lot to do with it. It just looked miserable. And the second round in the rain and all three rounds in the wind. I don't think New Zealand golf might not be for me.
Yeah, at least this time of year. I don't know if it's always windy like that, but that very first tournament, that last round was very, very miserable. But I think from what Luke was saying that this wasn't like that. It was a little bit more tolerable, but it still looked extremely windy. And I just can't say enough about Big Jerm, man. Like, you don't see this at a Big Jerm. I mean, he was nailing putts, Smitty. That pixel for him, there's sometimes something special about grabbing a new disc and getting something new and kind of opening you back up to maybe a passion that you forgot about, whatever the case may be. It's different for everyone. But take a look at this final round. Big Jerm, 8 under. Ezra, 6 under. Robert Burridge, 7. KJ, 7. And Luke Humphreys in 5th place, who had a killer first round. He was 5 strokes ahead of everyone. Smitty, he played extremely well, but then I think he got like a 12 on a hole.
No, there's no thinking about it. He did get a 12 on. He got 12 on I think it was hole 12 or hole 13. He threw out of bounds 5 times and a couple of times didn't get to move. So yeah, that was brutal. You take that out and Luke is solid third pushing for it, even if he gets a par on that hole.
That was crazy. A real 10 cup moment.
And it was fun on the commentary to listen because he was trying to justify why he did it. And Paul was having nothing to do with it. And he was just like, throw it in the plum tree, dude. And Luke's like, I don't want to be in a plum tree. And Paul said, well, I'm pretty sure it's in bounds. And it was, he wasn't listening to Luke's idea. But yeah, this came down to the last holes, man. It was
talk to me about it.
It was tight coming down the stretch, and they came into hole 18, and Big Jerm threw it to about 35, and Ezra was out of bounds 65 feet away and canned that sucker uphill in that wind from 65 feet to force a playoff. And the playoff was just another, like last week, it was threw out of bounds off the tee and just ended it right there. Big Jerm threw an amazing drive in the playoff, and Ezra just overthrew the green, and it was the same hole one, that humpback green. He just threw it OB and had to go to the drop zone, so it was game over from there.
That was a par 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think they call it a par 4. It's like 520 feet to the pin and
it kind of downhill. Green. Yeah. The thing is I saw Levi Stout had posted something somewhere that said, basically Big Jerm was right there for eagle and Ezra went OB. So no real like excitement as far as the playoff hole was concerned, but it sounded like there was some excitement getting to that playoff hole. Though.
Oh yeah. Hole 18 was the start of the playoff hole. Ezra was out of bounds and dead and because Big Jerm was pretty close. He was going to get a par at worst. He's going to get up and down. I don't know if it was a par, but yeah. And Ezra threw that sucker in. I jumped and screamed. It was awesome.
Okay. Yeah. That's always fun. when those type of things happen.
That guy's going to get a good win this year for sure.
Yeah, but we got to talk about it, Smitty. That is Ezra's second place finish in a row here in New Zealand. Do you think it's getting to him at all?
No. He posted on Disc Golf Fanatics that winning's overrated.
I did see that. I was wondering if you saw that. Yeah, he was quick to put that up, and pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, his attitude has been great too. Now, these aren't Disc Golf Pro Tour events, so they're probably a little bit more relaxed for these guys. And these dudes are on like a month-long vacation.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he's throwing some bad shots and laughing them off, smiling them off. But
yeah, I saw him got a little hot in the first round, but not hot to the like as ragey as we've seen him in the past. Like he just walked a little faster, that type of thing. But nothing crazy. So maybe that's something he's intentionally trying to work on, or maybe it's just too beautiful there to be too upset. Maybe there's not as much at stake as you're saying. So
maybe winning prize money isn't as big of a priority now either.
Hey, there you go. Yep. A payday sure makes things feel a little bit easier out there.
I'm sure it can.
Wouldn't know.
Well, let's check out the ladies' side of this event. Holland came over there, her first event over there at New Zealand, and she won pretty handily.
Smith. That's so touching when you make bad jokes. This is cool.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that type of thing. Yeah, she was definitely the highest rated player in the field on the women's side, and yeah, she won by 4. Emily Weatherman, second. Sophia, and let's say her name right, because I said it wrong when we announced her as the winner 2 tournaments ago. Sophia Dunica. I actually messaged her and then voice recorded myself saying her name so that I could say it right. And I did it 3 different ways, and she said the last one, and it's Dunica. So it's D-U is how it's pronounced, Dunica. So anyways.
And then she said, "Who's this creep that's sending me voice messages? I'm over it." Yes, that was the one.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as she replied, I mean, I think there's probably a little bit of creep factor in there, but I did say, I think I said your name wrong on our podcast, and I want to make sure I'm saying it right because I think you're going to continue to do well. So
there you go.
Missing Cash, Juliana, and then Taylor, who, Smitty, I don't think I've said enough about Taylor. I am very, very invested in the women's disc golf game. And I think with her power, she can be really good. She's still fresh to the game, but I'm really excited to see her on a full tour this year to see where she stacks up. I mean, she's tall. She just looks so athletic, man. Doesn't she? I mean, those broad shoulders.
She was a Division I track athlete on a full ride to Oregon, the greatest track school in America. She would be good here if she showed up at the course. We'd watch her and say, "Whoa, that chick's amazing." But she's going to have her work cut out for her. There's some ladies at the top that aren't even listed on this.
Oh, for sure.
This result. So there's no Tatar. There's no Owen. There's no Missy. So.
Yeah. And then Holland's here now and beats her by
18.
But at the same time, again, still super fresh to the sport. What I'm excited about, Smitty, is you do mention that she is a Division I athlete, and we're seeing more athletes move into disc golf, and that's when it becomes exciting. On the men and women's side, it's just like, okay, now you get some people that are a little bit more athletic than the normal disc golfer, and let's see if that translates. But I think it's going to take a couple of years for Taylor. I just want to say this now. I want to state this now that I am excited to see where she goes. If she sticks with it, I think she's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a really high ceiling, and if she surrounds herself with the right people, she could blossom and be great.
Yep. And I do want to apologize. We're going to make this fairly quick, but last week we talked about the Taupo Classic, and we forgot to mention the women. So I just wanted to congratulate Emily Weatherman. She did just enough to get her first victory of 2025. congratulations, Emily. I'm a fan of because she's been on the podcast. She's always very receptive to my creepy messages of saying congratulations. So good job, Emily, and just wanted to shout that out.
Yeah, good for her to get her first win under her belt with her new discs.
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, Smitty, that's the coolest thing about not only, hey, we're in the off season, but we're finally getting to see disc golf. Go Throw is doing a fantastic job with their coverage. I love the commentary. I love what I'm seeing, the new graphics package. We've talked about it. I love it. But also, all of those different people with new sponsors. We get to see Ezra for the first time. Emily throwing hers. We get to see Big Jerm, who, man, that felt like a resurgence of Big Jerm. So it's been really, really exciting. Maybe a tournament that's going to be here in the U.S. that might be exciting. The Open at Tallahassee. Look at these people in the field.
Yeah, there's some dudes there, aren't there? Matty O, Joey Buckets, Bradley Williams, Grady Shue, Nathan Queen, Jake Mon, the Bazooka, Silas.
Does the Bazooka live there? Do you know if, like, in the off season, if he stays in Florida?
It sure sounds warmer than Estonia.
Yeah, so this is one I'm excited. I'll be watching scores. I'm assuming this might be Ace Run Pro production.
I would hope somebody would pick it up. They're not going to be out as fast as what we're watching in New Zealand.
Yeah.
But I watched Ace Run the Savannah Open.
Yeah, with Isaac. Isaac's first tournament with Lat.
Yeah, it was about almost a week after the event was over. So, yeah. I'm hoping there'll be some coverage. You'd think there would be with this many great players there in the field, and yeah, hopefully we can get something.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm excited to see some of these names. If Nathan Queen gets up there, that'd be fun to see him see what he's throwing with Infinite. I wonder how many Innova discs stay with him, even though he's gone.
Yeah, it's like I said, we'll see. It's great. They like to say this is the greatest disc ever, and then as soon as they throw something different, that they're throwing that.
Exactly, but I think it's a truly. I love when people move sponsors like to an open bag because you can see, hey, what was the BS gauge here? How honest were they? And maybe that helps me like someone more in the future if they're being real honest about it. I glazed over this, but there was a tournament in Texas, the Hideaway Open in Terrell, Texas, and we had Heaves with his very first tournament with Prodigy. He was there doing the thing. And this came down to a playoff between him and Freddie Mesa. I don't know how they got to the playoff, but I do have some information as to how the playoff shook out and some video footage. So let's watch that now. Here's Freddie Mesa's drive.
Great shot, Freddie.
Really good drive right in there. And Freddie Mesa may be the only person still representing Lone Star Discs at this point.
There's high likelihood.
And I mean, that shirt right there, I mean, it's screaming Lone Star. It's got the name all over it. So he's not shying away from it. And then let's watch Hebenheimer's drive here on the same hole, which he can get to. Oh, and he knew it immediately. That goes out of bounds. And so from there, it's kind of the same way that the New Zealand tournament was. Freddie Mesa going to pitch up and take the tournament. Apparently, that last round was rainy, so that wasn't fun to play in. But if you can see here, Smitty, we got one of my favorites in GT Hancock in fourth place. Emerson Keith, one of your favorites. In fifth, we got BC, Brandon Cawthorn in eighth, and there is Disc and Deals coverage, sponsored Alexis Chaparro. He got last cash, and he was so upset about the last round because he did not bring his water shoes and paid the price. So he was slipping all over the course.
Got to be prepared, Texas.
Yep.
Little Tex.
Little Tex, you got to get it figured out. But still, good first tournament for him this year in a pretty good little field there in Texas.
Yeah.
We've talked about some tournaments. But now let's move into something around these parts. My goodness, this got more traction than I ever thought it needed. Let's just make sure everyone understands this. Emporia State Disc Golf, who is the #1 disc golf team in the nation currently, they announced a sponsor in Innova. Hey, teams get sponsors all the time. The problem with this is Emporia State is in the same place as Dynamic Disc headquarters. And people are all up in arms saying there's got to be something wrong with Dynamic here. They can't believe this is happening. This is just evidence that it's crumbling, that there's definitely something going on behind the scenes with Dynamic. Eric McCabe, the coach, comes out and says, just to clarify, everyone, I am still employed at Dynamic as their course designer, product manager, and bleed Dynamic. This decision was made solely by the team. So he's putting it back on the team. But as the coach, you want your players to succeed and give them the confidence to do so. But at the same time, if you bleed Dynamic, don't you want to try to help out the place you are employed? There's a little bit of back and forth with this, Smitty. You, Smitty, being the Dynamic Disc sponsored player, knowing Eric, knowing maybe a little bit more about the situation, or maybe not. Tell me your thoughts on how this all shook out.
I know zero more on the situation other than what we've shared here. I did send a message to Eric and said if he wanted to come on the show and talk to us about it. He's traveling today, so probably going to go do a course somewhere. So he couldn't do it. I think this is a pretty terrible look for Dynamic Disc, honestly. The Emporia State team has been at the top of the nation in the last 2, if not 3 years for sure. I think it came down to the final hole last year, and they nearly won the national championship, if I remember correctly. But I wouldn't imagine that a college team would require that much as a sponsorship, an equipment sponsor. They probably would like to have jerseys. They would probably like to have discs. They're funded by the college, so all their travel, I would assume, is paid for by the school. They have a budget for that. So we're probably talking 300 Frisbees, 300 discs for a team, I would guess. I'll bet you when Innova was approached, they probably thought, man, this would be a good way to stick it to DD.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they've got more than their $300 or 300 discs worth of free advertising out of this thing already.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if they would have sponsored, I don't know, Nebraska Wesleyan University, would we be seeing anything like this? I don't think so.
Not even close.
I think it's a bad look for DD. I think it's, if it's truly what Eric says, that they were offered a good deal and his team chose it. If Innova offered him something DD couldn't match and his team chose it, great. That's awesome. Go for it. And good luck with your choice and do well. So, yeah, I mean, I can't believe it, honestly.
I think it's a bad look too, but I also just feel bad a little bit for the players because, like, the players are finally getting a little bit of spotlight from people outside of the college game, and it's because of a sponsor and not because of their play and being #1 in the nation, you know? So from that perspective, I feel sorry for them because it's just like, okay, we chose a sponsor. Now you guys want to talk about us? How in the world does DD not lock up that team? How? That's the #1 team in the nation. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Give them something. I think as a coach, again, you want to give your team the most confidence that you can. And if they weren't feeling confidence in those discs, that dynamic disc has, then hey, yeah, let's make a change. But most of these companies, Smitty, they all have something that's very comparable, right? If I bleed dynamic, I'm not letting this happen. I'm going to say, hey, we're going to throw these discs. You guys, we're going to practice. We're going to get better. And we're going to support this brand that I bleed. That's what I do as a head coach. If I am loyal to the company I'm with, but I can also see the other side where, hey, if you're loyal to your players and you want the best for them, give them the tools that they think that's going to be best for them. For me personally, I'm not letting them be sponsored by anyone else except for the company I'm with.
A couple things that I can think of. Number one, if it wasn't Emporia State in that match last year, or even Emporia State in general, and we didn't know a few of the guys on the team or former team players, I wouldn't have any clue who did what and what they were. So I don't know if a college team is going to be big in helping promote your brand. Okay. I think not sponsoring the team in your college is big in making your brand not look great.
Mm-hmm.
And on Eric's side of things, he's the coach at Emporia State, and he does work for Dynamic Disc. He's got to walk a pretty thin line there, man. He's got to watch what he says, I'm guessing, and he has to bleed Dynamic Disc, or he might not be employed by them, right?
Going to bleed into the unemployment line. I see. Yeah.
Everybody around here and everybody at the old school DD knows how important Eric is to the brand and to the name Dynamic Disc and everything that he has done for the company. But these venture capitalists probably don't. They probably don't know Eric's involvement, I guess. They probably just see him as another employee. I don't know. But yeah, I would think he had to be very careful of how he approached things and the things that he said. And I think the way he said it in his post here that you shared is fine. But the other post, that one, I think I may have left that one out.
Yeah, and so let me read that one for those of you that might not be able to see this because it's kind of small. He says, I am thrilled to partner with Innova, a company that shares our passion for the game and commitment to excellence. Their support will elevate our team to new heights, and we couldn't be more excited for the opportunities ahead.
Yeah, I think maybe just saying we couldn't be more excited for the opportunities ahead would be great. I feel like some of that stuff in the middle could be read multiple ways.
Elevate our team to new heights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. It's big news, man. I just know that this is so close to home, and it's just crazy because they were sponsored by Dynamic Disc last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then to say, hey, take us to new heights.
Yeah, and I don't think that just because they were sponsored by Dynamic Disc last year, I don't think they had to throw all Dynamic Discs. I'm pretty sure Cade was throwing MVP and some other stuff, and he was on the team, and he also works at DD.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I'm not sure how a sponsorship for college even works. Maybe we're making bigger deal about it than we should, because maybe it's just like, hey, they have to throw a couple into the disc now.
I think if Innova wouldn't have made this post, I don't think anybody would even know.
No, absolutely not.
That's so. I think
they wanted to make sure everyone knew, though.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely. Marketing genius. All right. Yes, we'd love to know your thoughts. I know I've seen some people that say this is a nothing sandwich. They're tired of people talking about it, but I still think it's worth mentioning and talking about. Speaking of worth mentioning and talking about, this dude, Ricky Wysocki, is just doing everything he can to just confuse the heck out of me. At first, I'm thinking, okay, he's trolling a little bit, and now it's just like he seems to be going overboard. There's a couple new posts. This is the first one here with the putter on the right. It's a wiped stamp, but honestly, it just looks like an old disc. But it's a wiped stamp, and so people are getting up in arms that he is leaving Dynamic Discs. Smitty, do you see anything funky about this disc? Does it look like, you can't see a profile. What are you thinking?
Well, here's what I'm thinking at this point is I'm basically done worrying about what Rick's got going on.
You're not going to
Right.
speculate with me?
I don't think there's anything to speculate. I think if Rick hasn't come out at this point and said that he's on dynamic discs without saying I'm throwing dynamic discs this weekend like he did before the Memorial, if he's not coming out saying I'm on dynamic disc, he's on his way out the door. Right.
Okay.
I think in the next few days we're going to get some sort of the time's running out. We're going to have to know shortly.
Yeah.
This could be a dagger, like we're saying here, because of the color. This could be an old disc out of his closet. This could be a wizard. This could be, I think he putted with Wales a little bit when he was on Innova. This could be whatever. And, the other thing that's making me think that Rick's on the way out is this stuff here, right?
Yeah. The whatnot.
The whatnot thing, that we're doing this big auction on Wednesday. And then, Rick, come on, dude. I love you. You're one of my favorite players. But these Easter eggs, you see the actual Easter eggs he put on his Instagram post there. You're not as good at this as the Robinson brothers. You're not even close. So
yeah. I think that's what he is trying to do. He's nowhere near the level. I do appreciate it at the same time, but yeah, I'm with you, man. I thought it was truly nothing at first. And then when he started saying, hey, I'm going to be throwing dynamic disc this weekend, that's when it was just like, that's weird, man. And so yeah, I agree with you. I think he's on his way out. I just can't believe it, man. We both said when we did the, hey, what if? Like, who's going to pay him? Because they got to buy out a contract too. So if he is on the way out, just for fun, Smitty, where do you think he goes?
Well, if he's throwing Easter eggs, it's probably one of those two behind him. Right? I see Mint Disc on the door and I see Discraft sold here on the wall. But at this point in the season, and if they do buy him out, what's that mean? Does that mean they pay Rick a large portion of his contract? And then if Rick was smart with all the money he made up to this point, and he made over 100,000 last year on winnings, does Rick need to be sponsored this year?
Yeah, I guess that's true too. And I mean, because he took some of his payment in Bitcoin, is what I've seen in the past, and that's gone up.
And he made a post about that about a week ago too. So maybe, to me that was kind of like, yeah, look, I've got all this. You can't give me this, but here's what I got from you, type deal. But maybe Rick's betting on himself. Maybe he's betting on throwing whatever he wants and winning a world title. And
I wonder if he's going to be like an open bag situation, like with Infinite. That would make sense. They seem to have the money to make something like that happen. I think they do extremely well.
Infinite, OTB.
I knew he was going to leave when his contract was up, but for him to leave early, that's crazy. And again, it just goes back to there's got to be something happening, maybe behind closed doors with Dynamic or just with the House of Disc situation that's making some feathers ruffled. And then I wonder what this means for Kona, who's in that big contract. We both know that she is one that her return on investment has to be terrible. I don't think she sold any discs.
She'd be a lot easier just to call up and say, look, we don't want you. Here's your buyout.
All I know is if Ricky's leaving, there's no way Kona's staying, unless this is truly just Ricky's decision and not. But anyways, very interesting. I just never thought I'd see it this year, but we could be probably going to be seeing Ricky throwing someone else's discs this year. Let us know in the comments. Do you think Ricky's leaving? If you do, where does he go?
I guess we'll see how much he really likes that general.
I mean, he had 17 of them, so. All right. Smitty, tell me about it. That just happened, right?
Yeah, this last weekend. Ben Kinney, the guy in Staggered Stance, he used to be the intern. He puts on this Disc Golf Expo, and last year was the first year. And he did it again. Look at that, man. 2-day disc golf expo where people come and vendors are there. I saw Discraft had like 3 or 4 discs that they were dropping at the expo itself. MVP was there dropping something at the expo. It was a pretty big deal for disc golf, not only in New England, but that entire East Coast, I would say. I mean, listen to some of these names of people who were there. Appearances by Ken Climo. Ever heard of him? Simon Lizotte, not shocking. He lives there. Gannon Burr, Paul Macbeth, Anthony Barella, James Proctor, Casey White and Paul, both from the area. Jeff Spring, Will Shoestrick, Avery Jenkins, Steve Dodge lives there. So the Yettings, Doug Bierkus, Jonathan Poole. So lots of big name people showing up there to this thing. If you're a disc golf fan and you're within 2 hours of this, how are you not going to it? The opportunity to walk around and meet with your heroes?
Yeah, that price is so good, too.
Yeah. If this was in Kansas City, I'd be there.
Yeah, I'd be going with you and annoying you the whole way.
There's one in Dallas if you want to go.
I mean, maybe.
Hey, Disc and Deals coverage should have a booth there.
Oh, God. To sell all the things we don't have. We're on demand.
Gatekeeper Media was there.
They know how to do it.
Stagger Stance, Disc Golf World. Hey, man, maybe you're there talking to Ben and making a video.
Yeah, I mean, I just would go, I don't know, just to be amongst everyone. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool thing for disc golf, and I hope Ben made a lot of money off of it. $15 a pop.
Yeah. That's cool. And children 12 and under free. I mean, that would be cool. Like, think about like Hudson going to something like that.
Yeah, he'd love it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they had indoor disc golf. They set up a course outside. I saw all kinds of cool stuff.
That's super sweet. All right, Smitty. 2 more topics here. Let's talk about this big Brixton move. Paul Macbeth and Paul Yulee, they are now co-owners of Brixton. I know I'm not into the card game anymore. I used to be as a child, but I will say that Sean Ayton, who does my catch cam, Smitty, he's deep. He's buying every card he can. He's like in Brixton Discord. I asked him to tell me, what is this a cool thing? Should we be excited? He's like, it's awesome. And that was all he gave me. So he's like, it's cool to have current players being the owner. And I said, okay. So I don't know how to feel. I think it's cool. I think it's definitely going to be a revenue generator for those two. Not like they need it. But Smitty, what do you think about this?
I'm not a card guy, personally. This says co-owners. So these guys are, they are the two, right? Two.
Yeah, because it used to be that baseball dude, right?
Dylan Cease, I think he had something going with it. I don't know what his involvement was. But, I mean, surely the Brixton people are still running the show. These two guys are just putting their face on it and their money behind it.
Okay.
Type deal, right? That's what I think. What do these two knotheads know about?
They know nothing.
Golf cards.
Brody would be more the annoying face for this. Well, he'd be annoying, but he does those card cracks all the time and opens up cards, so he would probably know. But maybe Brody has talked enough to Yulee about it and annoyed Yulee enough about it that Yulee's like, fine, I'll just be a co-owner of this.
No, I think Yulee's into what they call it, breaking packs.
Yeah, that's what Brody does.
I think he likes doing that as well. And
okay.
You know, I think it's pretty cool that they're both pretty important faces in the sport that have been around for a long time. And, you know, if Sean's fired up about it and he's really deep into it, if he thinks it's a cool thing, then I guess it must be a bigger deal than what I think it is.
Yeah. You said it's cool. So those of you that are deep or maybe just surface level, what's this mean to y'all? Is this cool? Should we be talking about this more? Should we be more excited? We just don't know.
I'm never buying a card.
Well, tell us if we should buy one. Should I buy a pack and open it up on the podcast? Do you guys want to buy a pack for me and I'll open it up? I mean, I can do that.
Oh, sounds great.
All right. Last one. So this is pretty cool, Smitty. You put this up here. The All-Star event, we're getting some tweaks with the All-Star event and for this new year. Tell me a little bit about what's happening.
Well, this is all I know. What's on these 3 paragraphs here? I like the first tweak a lot. They're gonna play some doubles. Now, it's not really the doubles that I want to see. It's going to be mixed doubles, so a man and a woman. 18 holes, 9 of best shot, 9 of alternate shot.
Give me some worse shot.
Well, I think it'd be a lot more fun seeing the best men teamed up and the best women teamed up and doing worst shot and alternate shot and best disc and everything. I think that'd be way more fun just to watch these guys just go ham and see what they could really do. I think that would be amazing. So, and I don't know if it's just one round of this doubles and that's it for the All-Stars or what's going on.
That's what it sounded like to me.
I'm assuming they'll still do some of those skill events like they did last year, the long drive and the putting, but dear God, don't make us watch the putting and the other stuff again. Just let's just get it going here. So, and the other big thing is they're talking about moving the All-Star event just a few weeks after the final, which I think it'll kill it. These guys have been on tour all year. They just came off of MVP, USDGC, and the Pro Tour finale. That's pretty big. 3 pretty big events right there at the end, and now you want them to stick around even longer and play an all-star event. I think you're going to have a hard time convincing them to do it.
I don't love it at the end. I do like a change from where it's at the first of the year. I don't love it being the first of the year, but I don't think the end of the year is the answer. I think it needs to be like, the NBA, to where it's somewhere in the middle. But it's more so what they're doing is it's like more Pro Bowl style, right? Like with the NFL where you have it after the season. The Pro Bowl has really just gone downhill, right? It's now just like flag football silliness. And I think that if you make the format right for the end of the year, it could still be entertaining. And there is some lull time at the end of the year where we don't really have anything to watch. And that could be a good thing because there's nothing else. But at the same time, at the beginning of the year, it's very similar to that because we're all excited again to see something.
I feel like it being at the start of the year, the excitement to watch disc golf is what makes us excited to even watch it, right? Because we're starving for something now. This Down Under tour is kind of feeding that need that we're having, right? We're fixing that itch.
Yeah. You got any more of that disc golf?
But I just think at the end of the year, it's just going to be a dud.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out because this has been announced. It's happening this year that it's going to be at the end. And I'd love to see some statistics around it. What's the viewership compared to what we're going to have here in February?
I mean, at Worlds, they play mixed doubles. Why couldn't that be the all-star thing?
See, that's what I mean. Like in the middle of the year.
Give them some money, make it worth their time, and then maybe. I mean, you can't force them to play it. I know Gannon played mixed doubles. I don't know if Anthony did or not.
Can't remember.
So, I mean, that seems like a good time for it.
Yeah, exactly. The middle of the year is my primo choice. I think it's going to suck at the front or the end, to be honest, until they change some more formats. They just need to get more interesting things going on and stop showing me freaking drone footage of the skills. Let's get a camera, get a steady camera because it's killing me.
Yep, do something with it. So who knows? Who knows what'll happen to it? So,
all right, Smitty, episode 45 in the books, my dude.
It's done. I'm ready for real disc golf to start.
Yep, it's not too far away. But until then, we need to give some shout outs. Any shout outs that you have for the week?
Yeah, Mike Bailey, of course, for going out and running Millbrook at 10 a.m. in the morning when we're pretty sure there's going to be less than 10 people, and it was dadgum cold. He's also working on a little secret project for me and him that we're kind of tinkering with for a little bit of fun. So we'll see how that works out. I'm telling you, it's working out pretty good right now. So it'll be fun.
Ooh. Any hints you want to drop for anyone?
Oh, I can tell you, it's very similar to that Heiser line disc golf parachute, except kind of taking that idea of a parachute on a disc so you don't have to chase it all over the park. And I don't know if you know this, but Mike's a fake engineer.
Fake one, huh?
Well, he doesn't have an engineering degree, but he works as an engineer. Yeah. So I call him a fake engineer. So
he's not an engineer, but he did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Right. So yeah, he's done some 3D printing, and we have a prototype, and we've tried it, and it works great. And we're making a few more tweaks to it. Well, Mike's making a few more tweaks, and we're going to run number 2 pretty soon and see how she comes out.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's one of those things that AB and Ricky were throwing at each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's really cool. Let me think about my shout outs. I don't really have any, so let me just shout you all out and just remind you all. I'm going to be making a post on the Facebook group probably on Wednesday, so that's tomorrow. And when I make it, it's just going to give you an opportunity to comment and if you want to be on the podcast. So on February 10th, we're going to be doing a podcast because we record on Mondays. We're going to be bringing people in, and we're going to give you an opportunity to give us 2 players. Okay? One player that you think is going to have a better season than they did last year, and then one player that's going to have a worse season than they did last year. And we're going to base this off like the 2024 rankings and the DGPT wins, and then just our opinion on things. If you want to be a part of that, it shouldn't be a whole long time, but we can have up to 8 people in here at a time, or up to 10, so 8 more. If you want to be a part of that, I think it could be really fun. If you have a good pick, we'll call you back later at the end of the year, give you your kudos. If you have a bad pick, we're going to make fun of you.
Give them the Picky Award.
What's that?
I don't know. We'll make it up. Big nose or something. The Picky.
I thought you said Piggy.
No, Picky.
But and the big nose still made sense for Piggy. So, all right. So if you want involved in that, please just make sure you comment on the post, or you can comment on this video. I know Daniel Cooey commented on the video last week, and then a few people reached out in Messenger. But just make sure you comment on that particular post, just so I don't forget anyone. But other than that, Smitty, let's wrap this up. Everyone, thanks for being here. Thanks for staying locked in, and we will see you next Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye now. Hi. I don't know if you're still here or not, but I need to give a public apology to Andrew Laughlin. I promised to go to a food drive in Chapman, and I didn't go because I wanted to watch the Eagles game, and I forgot that it was on. And I need to make it up to him, and so I'm doing that by making a public apology now. I hate committing to something and then not following through. So, Andrew, from the bottom of my heart, I'm truly sorry. This is sincere, even though it might sound a little sarcastic.